Central C might come off cool and unbothered in interviews, but behind the calm exterior, there's a list of names that get under his skin. Whether it's subtle jabs in his lyrics, tension behind the scenes, or full-on public shots, Central C isn't afraid to let the industry know when someone's crossed the line. From long-standing grudges to newer beefs bubbling beneath the surface, these are the artists who've landed themselves on the wrong side of West London's biggest star. At the very top of our list is H. Before either of them threw direct shots, the rivalry between Central C and H was already bubbling beneath the surface. It wasn't sparked by insults or disses at first, it was built by their own success. These weren't just two rappers doing well, they were two of the biggest young names in UK music, rising fast and heading toward the same spotlight. And they were doing it in completely different ways. Let's start with Central C. He didn't just enter the scene quietly and work his way up, he blew the doors wide open. Coming out of West London, Central C made a name for himself through drill music, which is known for its gritty, street-level storytelling. But he didn't sound like everyone else. He brought a cool, confident energy and a mysterious image that made people want to know more. Tracks like Doja and Obsessed with You weren't just local hits, they exploded across Europe and even started making noise in North America. Central C wasn't just a UK rapper anymore. He was quickly becoming an international star. By early 2023, he was one of the most talked about artists in the game, leading a new wave of UK rap with style, ambition, and a worldwide reach. Then you had H. From Manchester, H had taken a different path to the top. While Cinch leaned into the streets, H leaned into fun, clever, and catchy tunes that stuck in your head. He had the kind of charisma that made people smile. His tracks weren't dark or mysterious. They were light, playful, and made for big crowds. Songs like Taste Make It Shake and Baby didn't just do numbers, they became soundtracks to summers, parties, and viral videos. He wasn't just a rap star. He was a household name, someone your little brother, your mom, and your mates could all vibe with. H knew how to win the charts, charm the media, and stay in the public eye without ever seeming too serious. He made it look easy. So here's what made the tension so interesting. You had Central C representing the edge, the voice of the streets, stylish but serious, focused on building something global. Then you had H, the chart topper with a cheeky grin, creating hits that felt built for the mainstream. They weren't friends, they hadn't worked together, and they didn't move in the same circles. But they were both at the top of the game, carrying very different styles and energies. And in a culture like hip-hop, where being number one always matters, that kind of setup doesn't just stay peaceful forever. All it would take was one spark, one comment, one bar, one moment, and everything would shift. And that's exactly what happened next. The first real blow came from Central C. On his 2025 album Can't Rush Greatness, he dropped a track titled 5 Star. In it, he reflected on his come-up and the obstacles he had faced. Then, out of nowhere, he let off a line that instantly made headlines. Here is the line: "I felt like a prick when I went to the Brits. They gave the award to a guy called H." It was direct, it was personal, and it hit hard. Central C was referring to the 2023 Brit Awards, where H had taken home the award for Best Hip Hop Grime Rap Act. It was the same category Central C had been heavily tipped to win. But this wasn't just about losing, this was about respect. In that line, C wasn't just airing frustration, he was questioning whether H had really earned that win, and by doing so, he openly challenged H's place in the scene. Fans immediately caught on. For H, an artist who had built his image on being fun and likable, this was new territory. Everyone waited to see how he would respond. Would he brush it off with a tweet? Would he even acknowledge it at all? Instead, he chose the one route that demanded respect. He hit the studio. The result was a diss track called A Guy Called, a title that flipped Central C's words back at him. From the very first verse, it was clear H was not in the mood to play it safe. He went for the throat. For nearly 3 minutes, he picked apart C's image. He called him out for being more brand than artist. He questioned his authenticity. He mocked the way Central C dressed, the way he acted, and even suggested that the whole mysterious persona was nothing more than an act. In short, he painted Central C as a character created to sell records rather than someone who lived the life he rapped about. In an interview, H later explained why he responded the way he did.
Amount of money in your bank account. The Brit was 3 years ago. What the
For H, it was simple. He had been publicly disrespected, and there was no way he was going to let it slide. It was no longer about friendly competition. It was about defending his name. All attention shifted back to Central C. The man who started it all was now being challenged, and the entire scene waited to see what he'd do next. A diss track? A fiery Instagram live? Another cryptic lyric? None of the above. Instead, Central C logged into social media and commented just 2 words under H's diss track. Those words were, "Fair enough." That was it. No lengthy explanations. No musical comeback. Just a calm, almost passive response that took everyone by surprise. To some fans, it felt like surrender. Like H had hit too hard, and C had nothing to say in return. But others saw it differently. They felt it was a smart move. By not responding, Central C avoided dragging things out and made it look like the whole situation didn't bother him in the slightest. Whatever the truth was, the result was the same. The feud died down, but the tension never really disappeared. It became one of those moments in UK rap history where 2 top-tier artists clashed in broad daylight, even if only for a short time. Unlike Central C's very public back and forth with H, his tension with Digga D runs much deeper and way further back. There's no single diss track or headline-grabbing moment that kicked it all off. No award show drama. Instead, this rivalry has been brewing for years, rooted in the street politics of West London. The tension between Central C and Digga D didn't begin with diss tracks or online drama. It goes way deeper than that. This isn't just a case of 2 rappers clashing for attention. This beef was born out of real-life street history. Both artists come from West London, but from different ends of it. Digga D is closely tied to Ladbroke Grove and the CGM group, while Central C is associated with Shepherd's Bush and the 12 World, also known as 12 Anti-Set. And in that part of London, those 2 areas don't get along. For years, there's been a postcode war between Ladbroke Grove and Shepherd's Bush. It's the kind of territorial conflict that's sadly common in many urban neighborhoods, where being from a different block can automatically make you an enemy. That long-running street rivalry set the foundation for the tension between Digga D and Central C. It was always there in the background, quiet but constant, and eventually something happened that brought it all to the surface. The turning point? An alleged stabbing involving Central C's younger brother. This wasn't just another street incident. It was personal, something that hit Cinch directly. When violence affects your own family, it stops being about territory or ego. It becomes something much deeper, something you carry with you. That moment changed everything. It took the already existing tension between the 2 areas and turned it into something much more serious for Central C. From that point on, it wasn't just about where they were from. It was about pain, loyalty, and revenge. As the years went by, Central C shot up quickly into the mainstream, breaking records, landing global features, and becoming a fashion icon. Digga D's path was much rougher. Legal issues constantly pulled him back, and instead of gliding into the spotlight, he built his name battling restrictions and making music under pressure. The quiet back and forth between Central C and Digga D finally exploded in 2024 with the release of Central C's CC Freestyle. And it wasn't just another track, it was a turning point. For a while, Central C had been leaning more into polished, commercial music that played well on global charts. But this freestyle was different. It brought back the raw, aggressive energy that defined his early drill days. It felt like he was stepping into a ring, gloves off, ready to throw punches, and Digga D was clearly the target. In that track, Central C rapped, "Surrender your flag cause you're not no Crip," a bold jab at Digga D's alleged gang ties. Then he hit harder, attacking Digga's musical relevance with, "Don't be angry at me that you got no hits." And just in case the message wasn't clear, he flexed his own success with, "I'm a millionaire. Bro, what about you?" These weren't just random shots. They were pointed, personal, and designed to hit where it hurt the most. Digga's credibility, career, and bank account. Cinch actually never said Digga's name, but he didn't need to. The message was loud and clear. C was calling out Digga's street rep and throwing serious shade at his gang ties, a move that goes beyond music and into personal territory. In that world, those kinds of accusations aren't taken lightly. The release of CC Freestyle lit up the UK rap scene and sent social media into a frenzy. It was no longer just quiet tension. This was a direct call-out. Everyone was waiting to see how Digga D would respond. But there was one major problem. Digga D was in jail at the time. That put him in a difficult position. He couldn't jump in the studio and fire back with a diss track, but he also couldn't stay silent. So instead, he responded publicly with a statement that addressed the situation head-on. In it, Digga D acknowledged the diss, comparing the drama to a heavyweight rap feud like Drake versus Kendrick. But he also played it cool, saying he planned to pour cold water on the whole thing. Digga D didn't just leave it at a public statement. He made sure his voice was heard loud and clear during an appearance on the Real Spill podcast, where Trap Lord Ross was brought on as a special guest.
I've been saying this shit.
It's true.
Niggas hate on. So I was just trying to kick back and let people just see it themselves.
But the hater thing's interesting, bro.
There's things like, if I was to post when I went number one, if I was to post, he posted my number one, whatever, spray painted it and done all of that shit I put on the ground. And no one said nothing. They kind of praised him. Now, say if I was to do that,
You'd be straight to jail, bro.
don't be saying Digga's a hate, oh, Digga this, Digga that. So it's like, bro, let me step back, let me fall back, and you lot will see it for yourself, you know what I mean?
The choice of guest was no coincidence. Trap Lord Ross had recently found himself caught in the crossfire of the Central C drama, so his presence added even more weight to the conversation. During the episode, Digga D addressed the situation head-on. He made it clear he wasn't here for sneak disses, indirect shots, or the kind of industry games he felt were being played. For him, the Central C drama wasn't just about music, it was about double standards. Digga D pointed out the hypocrisy he sees from fans and the industry. He explained that whenever he sends for Central C, people are quick to dismiss him as clout chasing or desperate for attention. But when Central C does the exact same thing, no one calls him out. Instead, they cheer him on. It wasn't the fiery musical reply fans were hoping for, but it was still a clear sign he was aware of the shots being fired and that he was choosing to respond with strategy rather than emotion, at least for the moment. The rivalry isn't just about disses though. It's also about image, identity, and how each artist has handled their success. Central C has taken the clean-cut route. He's polished, stylish, collaborating with big names, crossing into the global mainstream. He's become a fashion icon, a playlist regular, and a rapper who's just as comfortable at Paris Fashion Week as he is on a drill beat. Digga D is the complete opposite. He's gritty, raw, and unfiltered. His legal troubles and street credibility are part of his story. He doesn't try to smooth out the rough edges, he leans into them. For many of his fans, that's what makes him real. And that contrast is what fuels this feud. This clash in styles and paths has naturally stirred up a storm of opinions online. Scroll through TikTok, YouTube, or Reddit, and you'll see the divide loud and clear. Fans of Digga D are quick to accuse Central C of abandoning his roots. To them, he's sold out by chasing fame and commercial success. They say he's not as real anymore, especially since he no longer deals with the same legal issues or street struggles that Digga D still faces. On the other side, Central C's supporters fire back with a different perspective. They see his rise as proof of growth and talent. To them, breaking out of the drill scene and going global isn't selling out, it's leveling up. They argue that Central C took the sound of the streets and turned it into something the whole world could connect with. This back and forth has sparked some intense debates. People argue over who the better artist is, who stayed more authentic, and most of all, who really came out on top in their lyrical battle. The fact that Digga D was locked up when Central C dropped his diss only added fuel to the fire. Some say the timing was unfair. Others believe it just made the moment even more powerful. Whether you see Central C as the evolution of UK rap or Digga D as the last real one left, one thing's for sure, this feud isn't fading anytime soon. And the next move, it could drop in a verse, a story, or even a single line that changes everything.